Hello, and welcome back to the Transform Wellness Podcast. I'm Dr. Bradford Perkins, and I am an integrative metabolic and longevity specialist. In today's video, we are going to discuss the 4 pillars of lifestyle and how that pertains to our health span versus our lifespan. So the first thing we're going to talk about, what is the difference between health span and lifespan? Then we're going to talk about the 4 pillars of lifestyle, and then we're going to also include the often forgotten sense of community. So let's get started. So when we talk about longevity, there's 2 different concepts. You have health span, which is the years that we live in good health, and lifespan, which is our total number of years. When we talk about longevity medicine, our goal is to maximize our health span, which are those functional, vibrant years that we all want when we're older. If we want to be able to get down on the ground and play with our grandkids when we're older, or we want to be able to travel and go hiking, we got to put in the work now on these lifestyle changes so that we are able to do those physically in our later years. So this is where we're looking at health span versus lifespan, is that difference. So you can see that area of green, that's where we're living with chronic disease. So what we'd really like is to work on these lifestyle changes to start to help get that green area less. That is really the goal. What we're looking for is reducing that area, starting with lifestyle. And then there's some advanced techniques we can talk about in other videos. But today we're really just talking about what's happening in that green area and how do we improve. So if you're 90 years old, but you've been dealing with chronic disease since you were 70, so you've lost 20 years there of good health span. So we're going to talk about the 5 pillars. I included community as the 5th pillar here. We're going to talk about movement. We're going to talk about sleep. We're going to talk about nutrition, stress management, and then community. And these all go together. It really starts with sleep and stress management in some people. That can get you motivated to exercise more. You can be motivated to eat better if we're getting enough sleep and we're dealing with stress. But then again, movement helps with stress management. Proper nutrition gives us more energy to exercise, gives us more building blocks for our neurotransmitters for stress management. So all of it really goes together. So pillar 1 is movement. So, the consequences of just not moving much, that our sedentary lifestyle is completely different than our ancestors. Our ancestors are up and moving about and hunting and gathering and building. That's not what we do. We sit at a desk, we drive in a car, we sit on a couch at the end of the day with very little movement. The more we sit, the higher the risk of chronic disease. So it's normal for people to sit 8, 12 hours a day, when really the risks go up if you've had to sit for more than about 4 hours a day. So the consequences of sedentary lifestyle include heart disease, obesity, sarcopenia, which is muscle loss, insulin resistance and diabetes, which is really the driver of a lot of chronic disease, chronic inflammation. I'm seeing so many patients with high levels of inflammation that I'm trying to get under control. That is a huge issue in today's world, as well as cancer. How do we optimize our movement? Aiming for those 10,000 steps a day. I like level 2 cardio. So that's where you're exercising, where you can talk, but you can't sing. It's not pushing yourself too hard, but daily level 2 cardio is important. Resistance training, either with body weight or weights or resistance bands, TRX bands. HIIT training a couple times a week, the resistance training a couple times a week. Balance and flexibility training is really important as we get older, so we'll be able to catch ourselves if we start falling. And another thing people can do if they have a desk job are exercise snacks, where you take a break every 45 minutes to an hour and do 10 air squats or 10 desk push-ups, anything to break up the day from just sitting for 3, 4, 5, 8 hours in a row. The next pillar is sleep. Sleep is so important, and this is so underappreciated today. I mean, the average time of sleep from the 1960s, the average night was around 8 hours of sleep. or 8.5 hours of sleep. And now we're down to about, in 2010, to about 6 hours and 40 minutes. And it's probably gotten worse since then. But poor sleep has a lot of big consequences. It's our body's time to regenerate, not only our body, but also our mind. Helps clear out the metabolic waste that's created throughout the day. And if we don't get that, we get immune activation and inflammation in the brain, which can cause things like brain fog, mood problems. It can also lead to metabolic issues because it increases insulin resistance, increases inflammation, makes us hungrier, can lower our immunity. All of that goes together with poor sleep. And that's why I think sleep is a huge factor in what we need to improve longevity. So how do we optimize our sleep? Keeping a consistent schedule, going to bed around the same time, waking up around the same time, even on the weekends. Reduce blue light exposure. That's huge because all these lights in our home, they give us blue light into our retinas, which suppresses melatonin. We need that melatonin drive to help us sleep. That on top of stress, suppressing melatonin. So you're on the computer working late at night, you're stressed, it's really going to be hard to try to fall asleep or even stay asleep. And that's where people get a lot of those wake ups in the middle of the day. Having a set bedtime routine for about an hour routine, maybe take a warm bath or you do some gentle yoga or stretches, just kind of meditation, just something to calm down the body. And then just having a sleep sanctuary. Your bedroom should be cool and dark, having blackout shades. If you need a night light, having a red light, not a blue regular light, night light is important. If you have a big bright alarm clock, have it facing the other direction. All those things do help. Next is the pillar 3, which we're going to talk about, is nutrition. So this also is so important because nutrition and our food are building blocks for our body. So if we don't have the proper nutrition, we can't have our cells functioning optimally. We can get chronic inflammation from the types of foods we're eating that are pro-inflammatory. Our standard American diet leads to a lot of insulin resistance and diabetes. Poor nutrition, people can feel anxious and depressed because you're not getting the nutrients to even make your neurotransmitters. So all of that goes into it. Also, we need nutrients to make our hormones. So people think they have low thyroid, could be just because they're not getting the proper nutrition to make their thyroid hormone. So what's important? Whole foods, vegetables, fruits, lean proteins, and healthy fats are all important. As far as tools to help, time-restricted eating, I'm a huge fan of, having about an 8 to 12 hour window. We want to balance our macros, make sure we're getting enough protein. I aim about 30 grams of protein a meal if you're eating 3 meals a day. We want to reduce ultra-processed foods and foods that are going to have a high glycemic index. And there's also a fasting mimicking diet option for people looking at longevity. This is a product called Prolon. It's a 5-day fasting mimicking diet that people can do every quarter and really can help set metabolism. It can also activate AMPK, something we're not talking about today, but that is something we'll talk about on another talk. Then we want to talk about stress management, pillar 4. This is our mind and body balance. Chronic stress leads to inflammation. It leads to high cortisol, which leads to brain fog, increases heart attack risk, diabetes risk, cancer risk. As you see how important lifestyle is, how much it impacts what our health is. Ways to help with stress management, meditation, even 1 to 2 hours or 1 to 2 minutes, of deep breathing or box breathing. You can do belly breathing where when you're taking an inhale, you feel that your belly expands before your chest. Journaling at bedtime can be really helpful to get those stressful thoughts out of our mind. Talking to a therapist can help. Getting out in nature, walking in nature, it's a type of grounding that is also very helpful. And then lastly, we're going to talk about community, and this is often overlooked. Community is so important, especially if you look at those blue zones and how important community is for those people staying very active 100 years old and above. This those strong social ties improve mental health and longevity. You have this support that gives you the accountability to stay on task. And one of the main things it also does is gives someone a sense of purpose. And that's a question I ask a lot of patients is, what is your purpose? Because being purposeless really, it's not good for us. We just don't know how to function without a purpose. So having that sense of purpose reduces stress, gives us better resiliency. Things you can do, you can connect with neighbors, you can volunteer, you can join local groups, go play golf, with a group, a foursome that you meet with every week. Having those connections really is helpful overall. So, all these pillars do work together, as we've seen. They work synergistically. Sleep goes into movement goes into stress management and nutrition go together, because if we're stressed, that can lead to poor food choices, food cravings. Small consistent changes are important. They give big results. So just making like a 1% change, make one little thing, like I'm going to do deep breathe for 1 minute a day for the next week. That just keeps building. You can work on it. Picking something up in each of these pillars really is helpful. Other things you can consider to help, there's certain supplements, personalized supplement plans are important. You can do advanced diagnostics to look at chronic disease. Sauna is great for detox and stress management. PEMF therapy is good as well for stress. Some people do hyperbaric oxygen and peptides. There's a lot of different things. We'll talk about it on other talks. But today we're just focusing on lifestyle. So the key takeaway today is Healthspan is as important or more important than lifespan. So the next step is to commit to one improvement in each pillar. Engage with a supportive community that helps you stay on task. Talk to your friends and family. Keep connected. That is the next step you can take. Thank you for your time today. I really enjoyed this talk today. If you want to know more about these types of topics, subscribe to my channel for weekly health videos. Subscribe to my podcast. If you have any questions or experience, drop in the comments, and I hope everyone has a great day.